All right, in 5.1, we're going to solve absolute value equations that are set equal to a number. That's why you see this thing right here, set equal to a number. So there can be different methods as we go along, but right now, just equal to a number. So first, let's talk about what does absolute value mean. When you see those absolute value marks, it means the distance from 0 on a number line. So what I mean is this. If you have a number line, and here is 0, that distance from 0 to 6 is 6 units, right? That makes sense. So the absolute value of 6 is 6. Well, if I go to negative 6, the distance from 0 to negative 6 is still 6. So the absolute value of negative 6 is still 6. So distance is really what we're talking about when we do absolute value. Now, so let's look at some true or false statements. Let's look at this. If I have the absolute value of negative 3 plus 1 equals 2. Well, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. The distance from 0 is 2. Is that equal to 2? Yes, it is. We're good to go. But what about if it was negative 3 minus 1 is equal to negative 4? Well, this is the absolute value of negative 4. Could it be negative 4? Is the distance from negative 4 to 0 a negative number? No, it's positive. That's not equal to negative 4. So this does not work. So let's look at our steps to solve an absolute value question. The first step that we want to do is to isolate the absolute value, whatever part of the equation that is. We're going to get that by itself. The second thing we want to do is set the interior of those bars equal to the negative and the positive result. The third thing we want to do is then just solve it. Now, why do we do this thing? Well, the reason we do the negative and positive thing is here's your absolute value graph. A line can intersect this at 2 locations. So we have 2 potential solutions there. That's where we're going to get the negative and the positive. Okay, and again, we have to consider the distance thing. So 2 solutions. All right, let's try an example. Absolute value of 4x equals 28. All right, we're going to isolate the absolute value. It's already isolated here. So I'm going to rewrite it. Set it equal to the negative. If you always put the negative version on the left, it's going to really help you later on. So 4x equals the positive version. And then I'm just going to solve. So x equals negative 7. Over here, x equals positive 7. And we're going to connect these with the word or. So negative 7 or positive 7. All right, the second example I want to show you is this. Absolute value of y minus 5 minus 2 equals 10. So what am I going to do here? Well, I need to isolate the absolute value, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So the absolute value of y minus 5 equals 12. And now I split it. Y minus 5 equals negative 12. Y minus 5 equals positive 12. And then I'm going to solve. So y equals negative 7 or y equals 17. My third example is 2 times the absolute value of 4x minus 1 plus 6 equals 20. All right, so we have multiple steps we need to cover here. And then, so I want to peel away the layers to get to the absolute value, get this part of it by itself. This is what I want to isolate. So I'm going to take away this first, then take away this coefficient, and that'll isolate this. All right, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do is subtract 6. Gives me 14. Now I'm going to divide both sides by that 2. Now I can split. So 4x minus 1 equals negative 7. 4x minus 1 equals positive 7. And I can clean this up. Add 1 to both sides. 4x equals negative 6. Divide by 4. X is equal to negative 3/2. Always, always reduce. Add 1 to both sides. So 4x equals 8. So x will equal 2. There's my two solutions. All right, let me try a couple more with you. 4 minus 2 times x plus 9 equals negative 6. So this is example 4. So again, we're going to peel away the layers. This time I'm going to start out here with subtracting the 4. So I have negative 2, absolute value of x plus 9 equals negative 10. Now I'm going to divide by negative 2. Absolute value of x plus 9 equals a positive 5. Now I split. X plus 9 equals negative 5. X plus 9 equals a positive 5. I subtract 9 from both sides. I get x equals negative 14, or I get x equals a negative 4. All right, so I have my two solutions. Number 5, what about this? Absolute value of x minus 3 over 4 equals 5. All right, so the absolute value bar is already isolated, so I can split this. So I'm going to say x minus 3 over 4 equals negative 5. X minus 3 over 4 equals positive 5. All right, what am I going to do? Well, I need to get rid of that fraction. So I can do it multiple ways. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. And that gives me x, that gives me x minus 3 equals negative 20. Add 3, x equals negative 17. Over here, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 again. So I have x minus 3 equals positive 20. Add 3 to both sides, x equals 23. And again, I connect them with the word or. So now let's look at some word problems with these absolute value equations. So let's look at this. The equation absolute value of x minus 25 equals 3 can be used to determine the max and the minimum miles per gallon for gasoline usage of a certain car. What's the minimum and the maximum miles per gallon that can be expected? So you're going to find this by doing exactly the process we've done. We already have this isolated, the absolute value part, so we can split this. So x minus 25 equals negative 3. That's going to generate the minimum for us. The maximum is going to be the other side of this. X minus 25 equals a positive 3. So all I have to do now is solve. So x equals 22 over here. X equals 28. So the minimum is 22 miles per gallon. The maximum is 28 miles per gallon. All right, so let's look at 7. The equation absolute value of x minus 35,000 equals 4,000 can be used to determine the maximum and the minimum altitude in feet a plane maintains on autopilot. What's the minimum and the maximum altitude that can be expected? So again, we're just going to split this guy straight from the beginning. So x minus 35,000 equals negative 4,000. X minus 35,000 equals positive 4,000. And solve. So x equals 3,100. Add that on both sides over here. So what does this mean? Well, the minimum then is 31,000 feet in altitude. The maximum is 39,000 feet in altitude.